The first shot came from a Nephilim cruiser. A beam of pure energy designed to disable enemy ships without destroying them struck the Retribution's forward shields. The aliens expected the human ship to surrender immediately, as any civilized species would when faced with such overwhelming odds. Instead, the Retribution's shields absorbed the energy and converted it to power for their own weapon systems. "Thank you for the free energy," Commander Ji-Woo Park said calmly as she targeted the Nephilim ship that had fired first. Returning the favor now, the quantum disruption cannon fired. The beam that emerged from the Retribution was not like any weapon the galaxy had ever seen. Most civilized species used energy weapons designed to disable ships or force surrender. The quantum disruption cannon was designed to remove things from existence entirely. Where the beam struck the Nephilim cruiser, matter simply stopped being. A perfectly spherical hole appeared in the center of the ship, cutting through armor, weapons, and crew compartments as if they were made of air. The ship broke apart and died in seconds. Across the alien fleet, emergency alarms began to sound. The aliens had expected a brief engagement followed by human surrender. What they got, instead, was the opening move of a slaughter. "Impossible," Admiral Vextar whispered from his command ship. "No civilized species would build such a weapon." Chief Engineer Tae-Min Lee's voice echoed through the Retribution's bridge from deep in the engineering section. "Captain, I'm pushing the fusion cores to 120%. The aliens' weapons are actually making us stronger. Their energy feeds right into our power grid." Captain Dae-Ho Kim watched as more alien ships opened fire. Each beam that struck his vessel was absorbed and converted to fuel for humanity's response. It was a perfect example of the difference between civilized warfare and human warfare. The aliens fought to disable and capture. Humans fought to end threats permanently. "Jiwoo, target their command ships first," Dae-Ho ordered. "Let's cut the head off the snake." Commander Park's fingers danced across her controls. The Retribution carried over 300 nuclear missiles, each one capable of destroying a city. But the real terror was in the ship's energy weapons. While alien civilizations had spent millions of years perfecting elegant solutions to complex problems, humans had spent thousands of years perfecting the art of killing things efficiently. The second quantum disruption beam carved through a hegemony battleship. The third erased half of a collective command vessel. Each shot was precise, calculated, and absolutely devastating. Where alien weapons were designed to force surrender, human weapons were designed to eliminate problems. "Captain, Dr. So-Young," Choi called out, her voice filled with horror as she monitored alien communications. "They're calling for reinforcements, but they're messages and they're not asking for more ships. They're warning other fleets to stay away." On the main screen, alien vessels tried to retreat to a safe distance, but the Retribution was faster than they expected. The human ship accelerated toward the nearest cluster of enemies, its weapons firing continuously. Each shot found its target. Each target died. Admiral Vextar watched in growing terror as his carefully planned ambush turned into a nightmare. The coalition had brought 400 ships to deal with one human vessel. It should have been overwhelming force. Instead, he was watching the greatest military disaster in galactic history. "Why won't they follow the rules?" he demanded of his tactical officer. "Why don't they try to disable our ships? Why don't they offer terms for surrender?" His tactical officer, a young hegemony with bright green compound eyes, studied the human ship with something approaching awe. "Sir, I don't think they understand our rules. Look at their weapon patterns. Every shot is aimed at critical systems. They're not trying to capture our ships. They're trying to destroy them completely." "But that's barbaric," Vextar protested. "Civilized species don't fight wars of extermination." "Sir," the tactical officer said quietly, "I don't think they consider themselves civilized." The Retribution moved through the alien fleet like a shark through a school of fish. Its shields absorbed enemy fire while its weapons carved through alien armor as if it were made of paper. Fleet Commander Min Ho Jang coordinated the ship's movements, using tactics that had been developed during humanity's bloodiest conflicts. "Yoon Ji, broadcast this message on all frequencies," Captain Dae-Ho ordered. Lieutenant Kim nodded and opened communication channels to every ship in the system. "Attention alien vessels," Dae-Ho's voice carried across space. You came here to judge humanity. You brought overwhelming force because you thought it would make us submit. You were wrong. Another quantum disruption beam found its target. A Watcher exploration ship simply ceased to exist. We are what your peaceful galaxy created, Deho continued. For millions of years you ruled through consensus and cooperation. You forgot that the universe is not naturally peaceful. Peace exists because someone is willing to fight for it. The Retribution's missile pods opened. Nuclear warheads streaked toward alien ships, each one guided by targeting systems that had been perfected through centuries of human warfare. The aliens tried to intercept the missiles, but human weapons were designed to penetrate any defense. You wanted to know what humanity is, Deho said as explosions lit up space around them. We are evolution's answer to a dangerous universe. We are the species that survived by becoming the thing other species fear. We are your nightmares made real. Dr. So Young monitored the alien communication networks as panic spread through their fleets. Species that had never known defeat were experiencing terror for the first time in their existence. Their elegant battle plans, developed through millions of years of civilized warfare, were useless against an enemy that refused to follow any rules. They're calling us monsters, So Young reported, her voice shaking. Good, Commander Jiwoo Park replied as she destroyed another alien ship. Let them be afraid. Fear will keep them from trying this again. Chief Engineer Taiman pushed the fusion cores even harder. The Retribution's power output was now beyond anything its designers had thought possible. But the ship held together because humans built things to survive in the worst possible conditions. Captain, I'm reading massive energy buildup from the remaining alien ships, Yunji reported. I think they're trying to coordinate a final attack. Deho smiled coldly. Let them come. Jiwoo, prepare the Nova Cannon. The Nova Cannon was the Retribution's most powerful weapon. It had never been tested in combat because no human admiral had been willing to use something so destructive. The weapon drew power directly from the ship's fusion cores and focused it into a beam that burned as hot as the heart of a star. Sir, Jiwoo said quietly, if we fire this weapon, every ship within 1,000 kilometers will be destroyed, including any crew members who might surrender. Commander, Deho replied, they came here to commit genocide. They wanted to sterilize our entire species. I don't think we need to worry about being merciful. The remaining alien ships, perhaps, 60 vessels out of the original 400, charged toward the Retribution in a desperate final assault. Their energy weapons fired continuously, creating a light show that could be seen from the edge of the system. The Nova Cannon fired. The beam that emerged from the Retribution was not just a weapon. It was a piece of stellar fury given form and direction. Where it touched, ships didn't just explode. They were converted to plasma and scattered across space as glowing particles. The charge of 60 ships became a cloud of superheated gas in less than 3 seconds. Silence fell across the Kepler system. The only ship left intact was the Retribution, floating alone among the debris of what had once been the most powerful fleet the galaxy had ever assembled. Captain Deho activated the ship's communication system one final time. His message would be heard on every world in the galaxy within hours. This is Captain Deho Kim of the United Earthship Retribution, he said. Today, you tried to judge humanity. You brought 400 ships to destroy one. You failed. He paused, looking out at the debris field that had once been a fleet. Humanity is coming to the stars. You can welcome us as friends, or you can face us as enemies. But you cannot stop us. The choice is yours. The transmission ended. The Retribution turned toward home, leaving behind a battlefield that would haunt galactic nightmares for generations to come. The message was clear. Humanity had announced its arrival, and the galaxy would never be the same. Captain Deho Kim stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, watching Earth grow smaller through the main screen. The blue and green planet that had been humanity's home for millions of years was now just a dot in the darkness. This was the moment he had trained for his entire life. The first human ship to travel between the stars was finally leaving home. The Retribution was not like the ships humans had imagined in their old movies. It was not sleek or beautiful. Instead, It looked like what it was, a weapon built by a species that had spent thousands of years learning how to kill each other. The ship was covered in thick armor plating. Nuclear missiles hung from its sides like angry metal teeth. At the front, quantum disruption cannons waited to tear holes in reality itself. Daeho had served in the Korean Space Navy for 20 years, before joining the United Earth Fleet. He remembered when humans could barely reach their own moon. Now they were about to meet aliens for the first time. The thought both excited and worried him. "Captain, all systems are running perfectly," said Commander Jiwoo Park from her station. She was the ship's tactical officer, which meant she was in charge of all the weapons. Jiwoo was young, but she understood warfare better than soldiers twice her age. Her fingers danced across the control panels, checking each weapon system one by one. "The fusion cores are burning hot and clean," reported Chief Engineer Taemin Lee. His voice came through the ship's communication system from deep in the engine room. Taemin had designed much of the Retribution's power system himself. The fusion reactors in the ship's heart burned hotter than the surface of most stars. They had to, in order to power weapons that could destroy entire cities. Dr. So-Young Choi looked up from her computer terminal. As the ship's xenobiologist, she was supposed to help humans understand any alien life they might meet. For months, she had been studying strange radio signals that seemed to come from other worlds. The signals were clearly made by intelligent beings, but no human could understand what they meant. "I'm still picking up those alien transmissions," So-Young said. "The patterns are getting stronger as we move away from Earth. I think we're heading in the right direction." What Dr. So-Young did not know was that the aliens had been watching Earth for over 300 years. Far across the galaxy, in a space station that drifted between the stars, Admiral Vexitar read the latest reports about the humans with growing fear. Vexitar belonged to a species called the hegemony. They looked like giant insects, with 4 arms and compound eyes that could see in many different types of light. The hegemony had been exploring space for over 10,000 years. In all that time, they had never found anything as terrifying as the creatures on the 3rd planet of the Sol system. The report in front of Vexitar contained facts that made his species' blood run cold. Earth was what the galaxy called a death world, a planet where life had to fight constantly just to survive. Most worlds that developed intelligent life were peaceful places, where the dominant species evolved by working together and sharing resources. Earth was different. On Earth, everything tried to kill everything else. Humans had evolved from creatures that hunted other animals for food. Even worse, they had spent their entire history fighting wars against each other. The report listed conflict after conflict: World War I, World War II, countless smaller wars that had lasted for years or even decades. Humans had invented increasingly terrible ways to kill each other, from simple spears to nuclear weapons that could destroy entire continents. Most intelligent species in the galaxy had developed past such violence millions of years ago. They fought with words and ideas, not with weapons designed to cause maximum destruction. The idea of actually trying to kill another thinking being was so horrible that most aliens could not even imagine it. But humans were different. They had turned violence into an art form. They wrote books about war. They made movies celebrating their greatest battles. They taught their children about famous generals and heroes who had killed thousands of enemies. Violence was not something humans were ashamed of. It was something they were proud of. The worst part was how quickly humans learned. In just a few hundred years, they had gone from riding horses to building rockets. Their technology advanced so fast that even the galaxy's oldest civilizations were impressed. But instead of using their intelligence to create art or philosophy like other species, humans used it to build better weapons. Admiral Vexitar closed the report and activated his communications system. Representatives from 12 different alien civilizations appeared on his screen. These were some of the most powerful species in the galaxy: the crystalline Nephilim, the gas-dwelling collective, the ancient Watchers, and others. They all had the same worried expression on their faces. "The humans have launched their first interstellar vessel," Vexitar announced. "Our long-range sensors confirm that it is heading toward the Kepler system." A representative of the Nephilim, whose body looked like living crystal, spoke first. "How long do we have before they arrive?" 6 standard days, Vextar replied. Then we must act quickly, said a member of the collective. The collective were beings made of living gas, who communicated by changing colors. Right now, the representative was flashing deep red, which meant extreme concern. We cannot allow them to make contact with other species. The contamination could spread. Vextar nodded. The galaxy had spent millions of years developing peaceful trade and cooperation between species. Wars were so rare that most civilizations did not even maintain military forces anymore. If humans joined the galactic community, they might teach other species to become violent again. The peace that had lasted for eons could be destroyed in just a few generations. "What does their ship look like?" asked one of the Watchers. The Watchers were one of the oldest species in the galaxy. They rarely spoke, but when they did, everyone listened. Vextar displayed the surveillance images on the main screen. The assembled aliens stared in horror at the retribution. Where their ships were smooth and elegant, the human vessel looked like a floating fortress. It was covered in weapons that served no purpose except to destroy other ships. Most galactic vessels were designed for exploration, trade, or scientific research. The retribution was designed for only one thing: war. "Look at those missile ports," whispered the Nephilim representative. "There must be hundreds of them." "And those energy cannons," added the collective member, now flashing purple with fear. "Our scientists estimate they could punch through our strongest shields like they were made of paper." The Watcher leaned forward. "This is not a ship built by a peaceful species. This is a weapon created by apex predators." Admiral Vexitar activated the galaxy-wide emergency communication system. Soon, leaders from every major civilization would be watching. The message he was about to send would change the course of galactic history. "Citizens of the galaxy," he began, "we face a threat unlike any in our recorded history. A new species has achieved interstellar travel. They call themselves humans, and they come from a world where violence is not just accepted, but celebrated. We have 6 days to decide how to respond to their arrival. The future of galactic civilization may depend on what we choose to do." Meanwhile, the retribution continued its journey through the darkness between stars. Captain Daeho Kim had no idea that his peaceful mission of first contact was about to become the most important battle in human history. He only knew that humanity was finally ready to take its place among the stars. He had no way of knowing that the galaxy was already preparing to make sure that would never happen. The retribution dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. Captain Daeho Kim expected to find empty space and perhaps a few alien ships waiting to greet humanity for the first time. Instead, his main screen showed something that made his blood run cold. 12 massive fleets surrounded the system. Hundreds of alien ships hung in the darkness like sleeping predators. Their designs were unlike anything humans had ever imagined. Some looked like living crystals that bent light around them. Others appeared to be made of flowing metal that shifted and changed shape. A few seemed to be nothing more than clouds of gas held together by invisible forces. "Captain," said Commander Jiwoo Park, her voice tight with tension, "I count over 400 vessels. They're arranged in a perfect sphere around the system. We're completely surrounded." Fleet Commander Minho Jung had been quiet during the journey, but now he spoke up from his position near the command chair. Minho was older than Daeho and had fought in the last Earth War between the Asian Coalition and the European Federation. He understood military formations. "This isn't a greeting party," Minho said quietly. "This is a trap." Dr. So-Young Choi frantically worked at her computer station, trying to analyze the alien ships. "Captain, I'm detecting energy signatures from at least 12 different species. Some of these civilizations must have traveled from the other side of the galaxy to be here." Lieutenant Yoonji Kim looked up from her communication station. "Sir, I'm receiving a transmission. It's coming from the largest ship in the formation." "Put it on the main screen," Daeho ordered. The screen flickered, and then showed a collection of alien beings. In the center stood Admiral Vextar of the Hegemony, his insect-like form towering over the others. To his left was a Nephilim representative, its crystal body glowing with inner light. To his right, a member of the collective shifted colors, like a living rainbow. "Greetings, humans," Admiral Vextar said. His voice was translated by computer, but Daiho could hear the coldness in it. "I am Admiral Vextar, speaking for the Galactic Coalition. We have been expecting you." Daiho stepped forward. "I am Captain Daiho Kim of the United Earthship Retribution. We come in peace, seeking to establish diplomatic relations with the civilizations of the galaxy." A sound that might have been laughter came from several of the aliens. The Nephilim representative spoke next, its voice like the sound of breaking glass. "Peace? Your species does not understand the meaning of that word. We have been watching your world for over 3 centuries, added the collective member, its colors shifting to deep red. We have seen your wars, your violence, your endless capacity for destruction. You are a contamination that threatens all civilized life." Dr. So Young felt her stomach drop. "They've been watching us? For 300 years? Admiral Vextar continued. "We offer you 2 choices, humans. You may return to your homeworld and agree to permanent quarantine. Your species will remain on Earth, and we will ensure you have everything you need to survive. You will simply never be allowed to leave your system again." "And the second choice?" Daiho asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. "Destruction," the Nephilim said simply. "We will sterilize your ship and your world. It will be quick and painless. Your species will be remembered as a cautionary tale about what happens when evolution goes wrong." The bridge of the Retribution fell silent. Everyone stared at the screen where 12 different alien species waited for humanity's response. These were not the friendly aliens from old Earth movies. These were judge, jury, and executioner all rolled into one. Commander Jiwoo Park's hands moved to her weapon controls. Chief Engineer Taemin Lee's voice came through the communication system from the engine room. "Captain, I can give you full power to all systems in 30 seconds. Fleet Commander Minho Jang moved to stand beside Daiho. "Captain, these aliens made a mistake. They assume we'll react like they would, with fear and submission." Daiho studied the alien faces on the screen. He saw arrogance there, and certainty. These beings had ruled the galaxy for so long that they had forgotten what real danger looked like. They expected humans to beg for mercy or try to negotiate. They expected humanity to act civilized. "Admiral Vextar," Daiho said calmly, "I appreciate your offer. However, I must respectfully decline both options." The aliens looked confused. The collective representative flashed yellow, which Dr. So Young's computer translated as surprise. "You decline? Perhaps you do not understand. You have 1 ship. We have over 400. Surrender is your only logical choice." "Logic," Daiho repeated thoughtfully. "Yes, I suppose from your perspective this does seem logical, but you've made an error in your calculations." "What error?" Admiral Vextar demanded. Daiho smiled, and every human on the bridge felt a chill run down their spine. It was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of a predator that had just realized its prey had walked into a trap. "You assume we're afraid of dying," Daiho said. "You assume we'll choose survival over freedom. You assume we'll act rationally when threatened with extinction." He paused and looked directly into Admiral Vextar's compound eyes. "Those assumptions make sense if you're dealing with a civilized species. But as you've pointed out, we're not civilized. We're the species that invented the concept of mutually assured destruction. We're the people who would rather burn down the entire world than let our enemies win. We don't negotiate from positions of weakness." Commander Jiwoo Park's fingers hovered over the weapon controls. "Captain, all weapons are powered and ready. You see," Daiho continued, "you've spent so long being peaceful that you've forgotten something important. Civilization is not the natural state of the universe. Civilization exists because someone is willing to use violence to protect it from those who would destroy it. You've been safe for so long that you've forgotten what safety costs." The aliens on the screen began to look uncomfortable. Some of them were whispering to each other in languages the computer could not translate. "We came here hoping to find friends among the stars," Daiho said. "Instead, we find a galaxy full of cowards who want to destroy us because they're afraid of what we represent." You're right about one thing. We are dangerous. We're dangerous because we refuse to submit to bullies no matter how many ships they bring. Admiral Vextar's voice became harsh. You cannot fight us all. One ship against 400 is suicide. Deho's smile became even colder. Admiral, let me tell you something about humans. We don't fight to win. We fight to make sure our enemies lose. If we're going to die today, we're going to take as many of you with us as possible. And when the story of this battle reaches Earth, our people will build 10,000 ships like this one and come looking for revenge. The silence that followed was deafening. The alien representatives looked at each other with what could only be described as growing horror. They had expected humans to be dangerous, but they had not expected them to be insane. Final offer, Admiral Vextar said. Surrender now and we will spare your world. Deho turned to his crew. Jiwoo Park nodded grimly. Tae-Min Lee's voice came from the engine room. Fusion cores are at 110% power, Captain. We're ready. Lieutenant Yoonji Kim's hands flew over her communication controls. Sir, I'm broadcasting our response on all frequencies. Every ship in the system will hear this. Deho looked back at the screen. Admiral Vextar, humanity's answer is simple. We decline your offer. We reject your authority. And if you want to stop us from joining the galaxy, you're going to have to kill us first. He paused, then added the words that would echo through galactic history for millennia to come. Come and take us. The communication link went dead. 400 alien ships began to power their weapons. The Retribution hung alone in space, massively outnumbered but utterly defiant. The first interstellar war was about to begin. 6 months after the Battle of Sol, the galaxy had transformed beyond recognition. Where once thousands of independent civilizations had ruled their own territories through peaceful consensus, now they existed by the grace of humanity's tolerance. The species that had once called humans monsters now competed desperately for human protection. Admiral Dae-Ho Kim, promoted after his victory at Kepler 442, stood on the observation deck of Olympus Station, humanity's first deep space fortress. Through the massive windows, he could see ships from dozens of alien civilizations waiting in orderly lines for permission to enter human space. Each vessel carried diplomats, trade representatives, or refugees seeking sanctuary from the chaos that had consumed their former territories. Status report, Dae-Ho said to his aide, Commander Tae-Min Lee, who had served with him since the beginning of humanity's expansion into the galaxy. Sir, we've received formal surrender documents from the Hegemony, the Nephilim Collective, and the Ancient Ones. That brings the total to 43 civilizations that have officially submitted to human authority. Another 26 are requesting protectorate status. Dae-Ho nodded grimly. The galaxy's attempt to destroy humanity had backfired spectacularly. Instead of eliminating the human threat, they had demonstrated to every species in the galaxy that resistance to Earth was futile. Within weeks of the Battle of Sol, entire civilizations had begun surrendering without even being asked. What about the refugee situations? More complicated, sir. We have approximately 50 million alien civilians who have fled their homeworlds to seek human protection. Most of them are from species whose governments tried to fight us. Their own people have turned against them for bringing humanity's wrath down on their worlds. The irony was not lost on Dae-Ho. The aliens had feared that humans would contaminate their peaceful galaxy with violence. Instead, the aliens had done it themselves. Their attempt to destroy humanity had shattered the trust and cooperation that had held galactic civilization together for millions of years. On Earth, Dr. So-Young Choi continued her work monitoring galactic communications, but now her role had changed. Instead of trying to understand alien languages and cultures, she was documenting the psychological collapse of galactic civilization. Ambassador Song, she said into her communication device, you need to see these latest reports from the Outer Rim territories. Ambassador Hyunwoo Song appeared on her screen from his office on New Geneva Station, humanity's diplomatic headquarters in former Nephilim space. He looked tired. The work of reorganizing an entire galaxy was exhausting, even for humans. What? Have you found, Doctor? The breakdown is accelerating, So-Young replied, displaying her analysis on the shared screen. 17 more species have declared independence from the old Galactic Council. 3 major trade routes have collapsed entirely. And we're seeing something we've never observed before. Alien species are starting to fight each other. This was perhaps the most disturbing development. For millions of years, galactic civilizations had resolved conflicts through negotiation and compromise. But humanity's arrival had shattered that peace. Species that had coexisted peacefully were now viewing each other as potential threats. The collective had started claiming territory from the Watchers. The Ancient Ones were demanding tribute from younger civilizations. Fear of humans had awakened older, more primitive instincts in species that had thought themselves beyond such behavior. "How many human ships do we have deployed for peacekeeping?" Hyunwoo asked. "Currently, about 200 vessels spread across 50 star systems. Captain Park's battle group is handling the situation in former hegemony space. Captain Lim is dealing with refugee camps in the galactic core. Commander O is investigating reports of slave trading in the Rim territories." The mention of slave trading made Hyunwoo's expression darken. One of the most shocking discoveries had been that several civilized species had immediately reverted to enslaving their neighbors as soon as the old galactic order collapsed. Humanity, ironically, found itself in the position of liberating slave populations that had been created by the galaxy's supposedly peaceful civilizations. "Sometimes I wonder if we're the monsters after all," Hyunwoo said quietly. "Sir?" So Young asked. "Look what our arrival has done to them. We wanted to join a peaceful galactic community. Instead, we've destroyed it just by existing. Maybe the aliens were right to fear us." Dr. So Young considered this for a moment. "Ambassador, have you read the historical files from the Ancient Ones? The ones they finally released after surrendering?" "Some of them. Why?" "The galaxy wasn't as peaceful as they claimed. They just hid their violence better. Do you know how the Ancient Ones became so powerful? They exterminated 47 other species over the course of their early expansion. The hegemony built their empire by enslaving primitive worlds and working their populations to death. The collective absorbed dozens of gas giant civilizations by force." Hyunwoo stared at her. "But the historical records were edited. The peaceful galaxy we thought we were joining was built on millions of years of conquest, genocide, and oppression. The older species just got very good at making younger civilizations forget that violence was how they achieved dominance." She pulled up more files on her screen. "Look at this data from the Watcher archives. Every major galactic power achieved their position by destroying their competitors. They only became peaceful after they had eliminated all threats to their authority. What we're seeing now isn't the breakdown of a peaceful civilization. It's the return of the galaxy's natural state." The revelation was disturbing. Humanity had thought they were unique in their capacity for violence. In reality, they were simply the latest species to achieve dominance through superior warfare. The difference was that humans were honest about what they were. Meanwhile, in the former Galactic Council chambers, now relocated to Earth's orbital facilities, the new order was taking shape. The chamber that had once held representatives from over 1,000 independent civilizations now hosted a much smaller gathering. Only species that had formally submitted to human authority were allowed to participate. Captain Jiwoo Park, now serving as humanity's military liaison to the galactic government, addressed the assembled aliens. "The human authority has received requests for intervention in the Zeta Reticuli sector. Local conflicts have displaced approximately 10 million civilians. A representative of the Nephilim, its crystal form dim with submission, spoke carefully. Honored human, our species offers to provide refugee assistance if the human authority permits." "Permission granted," Jiwoo replied. "But remember, any species found exploiting refugees will face immediate retaliation from human forces." The alien nodded quickly. Everyone in the chamber had heard what happened to the Skal Confederation when they were caught using refugee children as forced labor. The human response had been swift and absolute. The Skal homeworld was now a lifeless rock orbiting a dead star. After the session ended, Jiwoo walked to the observation lounge where she found Captain Seok-jin Lim reviewing patrol reports. The man who had once commanded the fearsome Ragnarok now oversaw humanity's peacekeeping fleet, the largest military force the galaxy had ever known. "How are the outer territories?" Jiwoo asked. "Stabilizing slowly," Seokjin replied. "The species that submitted early are doing well under human protection. The ones that tried to resist, well, there aren't many of those left." He pulled up a galactic map showing human territory. What had once been hundreds of independent nations was now a single administrative region under Earth's control. Green zones showed areas under direct human administration. Yellow zones were protectorates that governed themselves under human oversight. Red zones were former civilizations that no longer existed. "Any word from the deep exploration fleets?" "Captain, Kim's group reached the galactic edge last week. They've confirmed that several species fled to intergalactic space rather than submit to human authority. We're letting them go." This had become humanity's policy. Any species that wanted to leave the galaxy entirely was free to do so. It was the ultimate expression of human confidence. They didn't need to hunt down every potential threat because no threat could match human military capability. "What's the psychological assessment of the subject populations?" Jiwoo asked. "Doctor, Choi's latest report shows mixed results. The younger species are adapting well to human rule. They never really experienced independence anyway, they just traded one set of masters for another. But the older civilizations..." Seokjin trailed off, but Jiwoo understood. Species like the Ancient Ones and the Hegemony had ruled the galaxy for millions of years. Now they were subjects of a species that had barely reached the stars. The psychological trauma was immense. "Some of them are requesting permission to commit species-wide suicide," Seokjin continued quietly. "They can't handle the loss of status." "What's the official response?" "We deny the requests and provide psychological support. Admiral Nam believes that forcing them to live with their defeat is more effective than allowing them to escape through death." The conversation was interrupted by an urgent communication from Earth. Admiral Youngsuk Nam appeared on the screen, her expression serious. "All senior officers, we have a situation. Long range." The alien fleets began arriving at the edge of the Sol system exactly 3 months after the Battle of Kepler 442. Admiral Vextar, one of the few survivors of the original encounter, commanded the largest force the galaxy had ever assembled. 3,000 ships from 47 different civilizations hung in space like a vast metal constellation. Their weapons pointed toward the small blue world that had become the galaxy's greatest nightmare. "Begin long-range scans," Vextar ordered, from his new flagship. "I want to know the location of every human vessel before we advance." The initial scans showed exactly what the aliens expected to find: a primitive system with one habitable world, a few space stations, and what appeared to be a small defensive fleet orbiting Earth. Perhaps 50 ships, all following the same, brutal design as the Retribution. It looked like humanity had built copies of their first warship, hoping to repeat their earlier victory. "Sir," reported the tactical officer, "we're detecting the same energy signatures as before. The humans have armed all their vessels with those quantum disruption weapons." 50 ships, Vextar mused. Even with their weapons, they cannot face 3,000. Today we end the human threat forever. What Admiral Vextar did not know was that humanity had spent the last 3 months preparing for this moment. While the aliens mobilized their fleets, humans had been working around the clock on the greatest military buildup in Earth's history. Deep in the asteroid belt, Admiral Youngsuk Nam stood on the bridge of the UES Ragnarok, watching the alien fleet through long-range sensors. Around her, hidden among the asteroids, waited the true scope of humanity's response to galactic aggression. "Status report," she ordered. Captain Seokjin Lim, commander of the Ragnarok, smiled grimly as he read from his tactical display. "All stealth systems are operating normally. The aliens still don't know we're here. The decoy fleet near Earth is maintaining position and broadcasting fake energy signatures. What about the other battle groups?" "Battle Group Alpha is hidden behind Jupiter. Battle Group Beta is using Saturn's rings for cover. Battle Group Gamma is dark running between Mars and Earth. All ships report ready for combat." Admiral Nam nodded. The aliens thought they were facing 50 human ships. They were actually facing 500. While the galaxy had spent months arguing and planning, humanity had done what humans did best. They adapted, improved, and prepared for war. Every shipyard on Earth and Mars had worked continuously, building vessels that made the Retribution look like a patrol boat. The UES Ragnarok was the largest warship humanity had ever constructed. Where the Retribution had carried 300 missiles, the Ragnarok carried 3,000. Its quantum disruption cannons were twice as powerful, and its Nova cannon could destroy an entire fleet with a single shot. "Admiral," reported Commander Hyojin O from the UES Apocalypse, "my ship is in position behind Europa. We have clear targeting solutions on the alien command vessels. All battle groups, this is Admiral Nam," she broadcast on the encrypted human communication network. "Remember, these aliens came here to commit genocide. They want to sterilize our world and eliminate our species. They chose this fight, and now they're going to learn why that was a mistake." Meanwhile, near Earth, the alien fleet began its advance. 3,000 ships moved in perfect formation toward the blue world that had spawned their worst nightmares. Their weapons powered, up ready to reduce Earth's cities to ash and its oceans to steam. "Human vessels," Admiral Vextar broadcast toward the small defensive fleet. "You are outnumbered 60 to 1. Surrender now, and we will grant your species a quick death." Captain Daeho Kim, commanding the lead ship of the decoy fleet, smiled as he received the message. "All ships, this is Captain Kim, you know what to do." The 50 ships of the decoy fleet suddenly accelerated toward the massive alien armada. To the aliens, it looked like a suicidal charge by a desperate species facing extinction. They had no way of knowing it was actually the signal for the largest ambush in galactic history. From behind Jupiter, Battle Group Alpha emerged from the gas giant's shadow. 200 human warships appeared on alien sensors like ghosts materializing from the void. From Saturn's rings came Battle Group Beta, another 200 vessels that had been waiting in perfect silence. "Impossible," whispered Admiral Vextar as his sensors registered the new contacts. "Where did they come from?" The answer came from Battle Group Gamma, rising from the plane of the solar system like monsters from the deep. The final 100 ships completed the trap, surrounding the alien fleet in a sphere of human firepower. "Attention, alien vessels," Admiral Nam's voice carried across space from the Ragnarok. 3 months ago, you declared war on humanity. You came to our system with overwhelming force, planning to commit genocide against our entire species. Today, you learn what happens when you threaten Earth's children. The first salvo from the human fleet lit up space like a second sun. Quantum disruption beams carved through alien formations while nuclear missiles streaked toward their targets in the thousands. The aliens had brought the most powerful weapons their civilizations could create. Humanity had brought the tools of extinction. Their stealth technology, Admiral Vexitar said in horror as he watched his carefully planned battle formations dissolve into chaos. "How did they hide so many ships?" Captain Seok Jin Lim heard the alien transmission and laughed. "We didn't use stealth technology," he said over the open communication channel. "We used patience. You spent 3 months mobilizing your fleets and announcing your intentions to the entire galaxy. We spent 3 months building ships and waiting for you to come to us." The alien fleet tried to respond, but their weapons had been designed for civilized warfare between rational species. They fired energy beams meant to disable enemy ships and force surrender. The human fleet responded with weapons designed to erase problems from existence. "Planet killer missiles incoming," reported Commander O from the Apocalypse. "Intercepting with antimatter warheads." The aliens had brought their most terrible weapons, devices capable of cracking worlds and sterilizing entire systems. But humanity had spent 3 months studying alien technology and preparing countermeasures. Every planet killer was intercepted and destroyed before it could reach its target. "How?" Admiral Vexitar demanded as his command ship shuddered under human fire. "How did a species that just reached the stars develop such advanced technology?" The answer came from Dr. So Young Choi, broadcasting from Earth's surface. "Admiral, you made the same mistake everyone makes when they underestimate humans. You assumed we were primitives because we're young. But we're not primitive. We're optimized. Another wave of human missiles found their targets. Alien ships that had ruled space for millions of years died in seconds. Every challenge you've overcome slowly, over millions of years we've faced repeatedly in just a few thousand, So Young continued. War, disease, natural disasters, resource scarcity. We've survived them all. And every time we survived, we became stronger, smarter, and more dangerous. The human fleet moved through the alien formations like sharks through a school of fish. Their tactics were fluid, brutal, and absolutely effective. Where alien commanders expected predictable maneuvers, human captains improvised and adapted. Battle Group Alpha, target their heavy cruisers, Admiral Nam ordered. Battle Group Beta, concentrate on their command ships. Battle Group Gamma, finish off anything that tries to retreat. The aliens began to realize they were not just losing the battle, they were being slaughtered. The humans weren't fighting to win territory or force surrender. They were fighting to send a message that would echo across the galaxy for eternity. Sir, Admiral Vextar's tactical officer reported, we've lost over half our fleet. The humans are jamming our retreat signals. They're not letting anyone escape. For the first time in millions of years, a galactic fleet faced total annihilation. The aliens had come to Sol expecting to face desperate survivors defending their last world. Instead, they found apex predators who had turned their entire solar system into a trap. All human vessels, Admiral Nam broadcast, remember that these aliens plan to murder every man, woman, and child on Earth. Show them the same mercy they intended to show our families. The Nova cannons fired. 3 beams of stellar fire reached across space, each one carrying the fury of a dying star. Where they struck, alien ships didn't just explode. They were converted to their component atoms and scattered across the void. In minutes, 3,000 ships became debris and radiation. The greatest fleet in galactic history had been reduced to wreckage and memories. This is Admiral Young Suk Nam of the United Earth Fleet. She broadcast on all frequencies. Your fleet came here to commit genocide. Your fleet has been destroyed. Any other species planning to threaten humanity should take note. We are not the victims you thought we were. She paused, looking out at the debris field that had once been the galaxy's pride. Earth's children are coming to the stars. You can welcome us as friends or face us as enemies, but you will never again treat us as prey. The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, civilizations that had ruled space for millions of years suddenly understood that the age of their dominance was over. Humanity had not just survived the galaxy's attempt at genocide, they had turned. The footage arrived at the Galactic Council headquarters exactly 18 hours after the Battle of Kepler 442. Security recordings from the destroyed fleet showed everything in perfect, terrible detail. One human ship had faced 400 alien vessels, and one. Not just one. It had completely destroyed the most powerful military force the galaxy had assembled in over 1,000,000 years. Council Speaker Thylin of the Ancient Ones watched the recording for the 5th time, her crystalline form flickering, with distress patterns. The Ancient Ones were the oldest civilization in the galaxy, with a recorded history spanning 50 million years. In all that time, they had never seen anything like what the humans had done. Run the tactical analysis again, she ordered. The holographic display showed the battle from multiple angles. Computer projections highlighted the efficiency of human weapons, the brutal effectiveness of their tactics, and the complete absence of any attempt to spare enemy lives. Where civilized species fought to disable and capture, humans fought to eliminate threats entirely. The quantum disruption weapons are beyond our current understanding, reported the Council's chief military analyst, a hegemony officer named Zektar. They don't just destroy matter, they remove it from existence. And their targeting systems, they aimed for maximum casualties, not strategic advantage. What about their defensive capabilities? Asked another council member. Even more disturbing, Zektar replied. Their shields didn't just deflect our weapons, they absorbed the energy and used it to power their own systems. It's as if they designed their entire ship around the assumption that everyone would be trying to kill them. On Earth, Dr. So Young Choi sat in her laboratory monitoring galactic communication networks with growing concern. In the days since the battle, She had intercepted thousands of messages between alien civilizations. The content was always the same: fear, panic, and desperate planning. Captain Kim should see this, she murmured, saving the latest batch of intercepted communications to her datapad. Captain Dae-ho Kim found her in the laboratory an hour later. The Retribution had returned to Earth's orbit, where it was being restocked and refueled for whatever came next. Dae-ho expected humanity would need to defend itself again soon. "What have you found, Doctor?" he asked. So-young activated her main display screen. Dozens of alien languages scrolled past, with computer translations appearing below each message. "Captain, they're terrified. Look at these communications from the Nephilim homeworld." The translation read, "Emergency evacuation protocols are now in effect for all colonies within 100 light-years of human space. All civilian vessels are ordered to retreat to the galactic core immediately." And this one from the Collective, So-young continued, pulling up another message. "They're debating whether to flee to another galaxy entirely. Some of their leaders think this entire galactic arm is now uninhabitable." Dae-ho read through more of the intercepted messages. Ancient civilizations that had ruled space for millions of years were abandoning their territories. Species that had never known defeat were discussing surrender before humanity had even made any demands. "They're calling us the Terror from Sol," So-young said. Some of the older species have started referring to humans as the final predator. The thing that evolution creates when a species has survived every possible threat. A communication alert chimed. Admiral Young-suk Nam appeared on the laboratory screen, calling from Earth Defense Command headquarters. Her expression was grim. "Captain Kim, Dr. Choi, we have a situation. Our long-range sensors are detecting massive fleet movements throughout the galaxy. It looks like every major civilization is mobilizing for war." "Against us?" Dae-ho asked. "We think so. But that's not the strangest part. We're also detecting what appear to be refugee fleets. Civilian ships fleeing toward the galactic rim. Some species seem to be abandoning their homeworlds entirely." Dr. So-young pulled up a galactic map on her screen. Red dots showed the location of military fleets, while blue dots represented refugee movements. The pattern was clear. Civilizations were either preparing to fight humanity or preparing to run from them. "Admiral," Dae-ho said, "how long before they reach our system?" "Best estimate is 3 months for the first fleets, 6 months for the main force." "Captain, they're not just bringing warships. We're detecting planet-killer weapons, stellar bombardment platforms, and devices we can't even identify. They're planning to sterilize our entire system." The communication ended, leaving Dae-ho and So-young alone with the horrifying scope of what humanity faced. The galaxy wasn't just declaring war on Earth. It was planning genocide on a scale never before attempted. Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, Ambassador Hyun-woo Song stood before the emergency session of the Galactic Council. He was humanity's first official diplomat to alien civilizations, though he suspected he might also be the last. The council chamber was a massive sphere floating in space, with representatives from over 1,000 different species arranged in concentric circles. Usually the chamber buzzed with dozens of conversations in hundreds of languages. Today it was silent except for the translator devices that carried Hyunwoo's words to every corner of the assembly. "Honorable beings of the galaxy," Hyunwoo began, "I come before you to speak for humanity. We did not seek conflict with your civilizations. We came to the stars hoping to find friends and allies among the children of distant worlds." Council Speaker Thailand's crystal form pulsed with what the translator identified as contempt. "Your ship destroyed 400 vessels, without offering a single opportunity for surrender. Your species fights wars of extermination. What friendship could we possibly have with such monsters?" "You call us monsters," Hyunwoo replied calmly. "But who attacked whom? We sent one ship on a peaceful mission. You sent 400 warships, with an ultimatum: submit to quarantine or die. When we refused to be caged like animals, you opened fire first." A representative of the Watchers leaned forward. The Watchers rarely spoke, but when they did, the entire galaxy listened. "Human ambassador," Your species has proven that it cannot coexist peacefully with civilized life. You are a contamination that threatens to return the galaxy to the age of endless warfare. Perhaps, Hyunwoo said. But ask yourselves this: how did your civilizations become peaceful? Did they evolve that way naturally, or did they become peaceful because someone made them stop fighting? The question hung in the air like a challenge. Many of the older species shifted uncomfortably. They remembered the ancient wars, the conflicts that had raged when the galaxy was young and violent. Peace had come not through evolution but through conquest and submission. You've been peaceful for so long that you've forgotten what peace costs, Hyunwoo continued. You think civilized behavior is the natural state of the universe. But civilization is not natural. It's artificial. It exists because someone is willing to use violence to protect it from those who would destroy it. And you claim to be that. Someone? Asked a collective representative, its gaseous form shifting to deep red. We don't claim anything, Hyunwoo said. We simply are what we are. Evolution created us to survive in a dangerous universe. If that makes us monsters in your eyes, then perhaps your definition of monster needs to be examined, Council Speaker. Thailand rose from her position. The decision has already been made, human. Every civilization in this galaxy will unite to ensure your species never spreads beyond your home system. You will be contained or destroyed. Then you have chosen war, Hyunwoo said simply. But before you commit your fleets to this course, consider what you learned at Kepler. You sent 400 ships to stop one. How many will you send to stop 1,000? The silence that followed was deafening. Every being in the chamber was thinking the same thing. If one human ship could destroy 400 alien vessels, what could a human fleet do? You have 3 months to reconsider, Hyunwoo said as he turned to leave. After that, humanity will assume that any alien ship entering our system comes with hostile intent. We will respond accordingly. As the human ambassador left the chamber, panic began to spread through the assembled representatives. Some called for immediate mobilization of every warship in the galaxy. Others suggested negotiating with humanity before it was too late. A few quietly began making plans to flee to the galactic rim. The galaxy had wanted to judge humanity. Instead, humanity had forced the galaxy to examine itself. And what it saw was a collection of civilizations that had become weak through too much peace. The predators from Sol were coming, and the prey species of the galaxy were about to learn what it meant to be hunted by evolution's perfect killers. In the depths of space, massive fleets began their journey toward the Sol system. But on many ships, crew members whispered fearfully about the humans who fought without mercy and won without quarter. The galaxy was mobilizing for war, but for the first time in millions of years, victory was not certain.